Hey, it's Tim again here with Barry, Social News Network TV, episode 2. How's it going, Barry?
Hey, good evening, Sweden. How are you?
Yeah, it's late here now. I guess the time difference is screwing with us this time. It's almost bedtime here. So, how are you doing?
Good. I just got home from work, so sorry about yesterday.
Yeah, you were a little.
Under the weather in the morning.
Yeah,
So,
that happens. That happens. Anyway, so I just wanted to tell everybody that I'm really happy, and I want to thank everybody for subscribing and watching our first episode. And as everybody knows, we just started this, and I'm asking all of my subscribers for TV Team Sweden and the other channels that I work with. I want to thank Krista already at Swexy TV in the Philippines, and the Angry Foreigner Sweden, Letland, in Lithuania. He's also supporting us, and we had a live yesterday with a couple of interesting people. Øystein Rønne in Bornholm, which is a Danish island just a little bit outside Sweden, and Håkan Bergmark, who is an ex-military diver. He's very political. He's up in Stockholm, and we're working to try to change our government here to a better government. And how is it in America? Are you happy with Biden and the Democrats, or how do you feel, Barry?
exhausted. Watching him, completely exhausted. It's a shame because it didn't have to be like this. You know, it really didn't. And I mean, I feel sorry for his wife, Jill. Dr. Jill.
Dr. Jill.
Dr. Jill.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, he just completely messed up over there in Poland. You know, talking to the troops with all that, and then the NATO. I mean, it was just a disaster. One disaster after the next. But hopefully we can get through it. Move on.
Yeah, I mean,
I think his approval ratings dropped even more since he came back.
It's terrible. I mean,
it's down in the 30s.
I wanted to ask you about that. A lot of my Swedish friends have asked me, why don't you just remove him? And most people in Sweden, they don't understand what that means and how you do it. But as far as I understand, there is something called the 25th Amendment, where you can displace a president if he's or not doing his job, or if he's.
I think it's called Article 25.
Yeah,
and that's basically if the president becomes incapacitated or incapacitated, whatever it is, incapacitated. That's like if he was shot or if he had a brain injury. I mean, like I think they did that with Lincoln when Lincoln was shot, and he was in bed, but he didn't die yet. And I think they had to, but that's Congress. But you have to realize they're never going to do it, because Pelosi will never do it, and Schumer will never do it. The Democrats control the House and the Senate, which means they will never do that.
Don't you think that Pelosi would like to be president if she's third in line, right?
Yep, they know. Yeah. They know, but they're not going to rock the boat. They're not going to do anything to jeopardize their power.
So you think that they will have this mental case there for another 3 years?
If the Republicans win back the House and the Senate, even, they are going to demand that President Biden takes a cognitive test.
Yeah,
which is what Trump did, and Trump aced it.
Yeah, but
they're going to demand it. They're basically going to say, they're going to tell him, you either take it or we're going to impeach you.
But if they win both the House and the Senate, they can actually impeach him and know in advance they will win, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's a little dangerous to have a president like that when everybody knows. I mean, actually, it's sort of a blessing in one way, because we know that Putin and other leaders are like, oh, he doesn't know what he's saying.
Right.
Because if he was a real president talking about removing Putin, he can start World War III acting like that, right?
Yep. And he should have. That's another blunder that he did over there, telling somebody that you're going to remove him from office. You can't say that. You know? I mean, he's just not thinking up there about stuff that comes out of his mouth.
That's the scary part, that when they tell him you can't say that. And it's like, I apologize. Then it's too late, right?
It's too late. Yeah, the cat's out already.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it turned into a disaster, and even the Democrats are starting to catch on. They got you got to keep this guy quiet.
I have a very interesting question for you, Barry, that I got from one of my viewers who watched our first episode, and this is the question here. Somebody said, I think it was the Rubin Report. They interviewed somebody, and it was an interview. And the interviewer said to Trump that, once we take back the House and the Senate, that we will vote for you to be the new Speaker of the House. And Trump answered, that's interesting. And then I was thinking like this, if he is the president, if he is the Speaker of the House, if they vote for him to be the Speaker of the House, when they have the majority, first of all, we'll get rid of Pelosi, right?
Yes.
But second, here's the question. Then he will be third in line after Kamala Harris, right?
Yes.
All of the speakers of the House are third in line if something
Yes.
happened to the president and the vice president. So
that's another reason why the Democrats want to, keep Biden in place, because Kamala Harris is even worse.
She's worse, except that she can read without.
Yeah.
She will laugh, but
she'll giggle. She'll giggle her way through the presidency.
She has another side. But can you imagine, as my friend wrote to me, that if the Republicans win back the House and the Senate and they vote Trump to be Speaker of the House until the election 2024, and then they will just say no to everything, and Biden gets into a mental hospital, Kamala starts to shake and she faints, and then Trump's like, I didn't have to win the third time, I'm president anyway.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Well, unless they impeach Biden and simultaneously impeach Kamala.
Yeah, that's a great one. And they judge them both.
Both of you get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Hey, Mr. Speaker, yes. What's your name again? I'm Mr. Trump. You're president. You don't have to wait to 24. That would be fantastic. So anyway, right about now, I think it's time. It's early here in our second episode, but I want to show everybody a little clip here. It's when Donald Trump made a hole-in-one a couple of days ago. And it's kind of funny that CNN and New York Times and all of these newspapers, they have, so as we call it in Sweden, they have crept to the cross, apologizing about that they have badmouthed Trump about Russia, and Ukraine. It comes out now that Hillary Clinton and Peter Strzok and his lover bird Lisa and Comey and everybody was guilty of doing this whole thing.
It's funny that you said that, because I sent you a link of his attorney being interviewed.
Yeah.
I forget her name. Anyways, she was being interviewed, and he's like, because he's suing everybody.
Yeah.
He's suing everybody that was involved in that whole Russiagate nonsense that went on for 4 years in the Mueller report. And he's suing them, and they're like, well, do you think you have a chance of winning? And she was like, the evidence is already there. This is an open shut case. So wouldn't that be hilarious?
It will be fantastic. And what I wanted to say just before we watch this clip here, and then we can continue, is that it's kind of funny that now New York Times and CNN are starting a little bit to apologize, because it's so ridiculous what they said about Trump. We'll come back to that later. But watch this clip, and also the last part of it, where this judge, what's her name, Barry? They want to vote her in as a Supreme Court judge, right?
Supreme Court nominee, yeah. Supreme Court justice.
And
justice of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and she can't answer the question how to define a woman, right?
Yep, it's so stupid.
It's this woke shit. It's terrible.
The woke. She's afraid of the woke crowd.
Yeah, exactly. So let's watch this little short clip here when Trump makes his hole-in-one, and I'll tell you a funny story after this. So okay. We'll be back soon, okay?
President made a hole-in-one, 180-yard 5-iron.
It's there. That's great.
There it is.
That's great. Thank you.
The guys want a picture with you.
Let's get it. You don't see that.
You don't see that very
Little
often.
guy. Get a picture, little guy.
My God. It's unbelievable.
Get right here, squiggly
Right here. Yeah, the flag. Yeah.
Now, just to lighten the note, though, on a lighter note, let's have a look at what Donald Trump has been up to. He's been having a go at Biden over his handling of international affairs, but today he put out a statement telling everybody that he had indeed hit a hole in one. He told people who he'd been playing golf with, and he put out a statement saying, "I hit a 5-iron which sailed magnificently into a rather strong wind with approximately 5 feet of cut, whereupon it bounced twice and went clank into the hole." So there you go. What do you reckon? He's enjoying life at the moment, Kosha.
Trump will be Trump, and this is Trump being Trump. He's somebody who always seems to enjoy life, even at the height of the most difficult job in the world, being the president of the United States. He always sort of gave off that energy as somebody who was enjoying it, for better or for worse. And if Joe Biden is gaffe-prone in his style, Trump is somebody who is prone to hyperbole. And what you read over there is signature Trump, and I think it's deliberate too, with him lightening the mood and bringing in that point.
It sure is. Thanks for joining us, Kosha. I appreciate it. Kosha, go out of there.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
So yeah, what do you think about that, Barry? Wasn't that pretty cool? 185 yards and iron 5 straight in the cup.
Yep. And he's got witnesses.
He's got six witnesses and the pictures. And obviously, when you play, people don't run around with phone cameras every shot because they're so close to him. So you have to believe that Trump and 6 of his friends are lying for what when they have bigger issues to talk about.
No, Trump doesn't care about that stuff. And it's funny because the naysayers are all like, "Oh, it was staged, it was fake," and it's like, come on, guys.
It's pretty fantastic.
Give it a rest.
You look at these creeps, Jake Tapper and the bald, stupid guy on CNN, and all of these, the women there, they're so psychologically demented. They're pretty beautiful, these women on CNN. At least they were. Now they're a little fat, but they were pretty, and the Fox women were pretty. Look at Megyn Kelly. Look at the other ones on the couch there, outnumbered and so on. Pretty nice women, right? But on the CNN side, they are psychologically sick.
They are so angry.
Yeah, angry. And now, what do you think about this? When they said, "Oh, it's staged, Trump is lying as usual." First, they apologize for lying about Trump for 5 years, and then they directly turn around and say he's lying again about a whole one when he wasn't lying from the beginning.
They're demented. It's just they're obsessed with just calling him out as a liar.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, you're right. So I had to come into the second part there, and the third part I didn't show. We'll come to that about the so to say man-woman swimmer, which is also a goddamn joke. But what about this black woman being unable to answer what a woman is? I think the question was sort of strange because she could have asked it easier, like, can you say the difference biologically and physiologically, or whatever you say, between a man and a woman? She didn't say that. She just asked her, can you define a woman?
Because there's going to be lawsuits that are going to be shipped all the way up to the Supreme Court. And it's going to be, once you start shipping up all these gender equality, lawsuits and whether or not men can compete in women's sports just because they call themselves gender neutral or they call themselves a woman. Well, what's the definition of a woman? We all know what the difference between biologically, what the difference is, but that doesn't mean that you should be allowed to just call yourself a woman because, you want to.
I mean,
and then turn around and then compete in the sports.
It's so ridiculous. I saw that man, woman. Actually, some people, I think they're too weak on Fox News and some of these channels. They say that, well, a biological man should not be allowed to compete, and Trump is saying this too, against biologically born women because they have testosterone and they have bigger muscles and they're stronger, and you look at their hands and their feet and everything. But then they add like this, and this is my point of view. They add like, well, we don't have anything against transgenders. It's just that they shouldn't be able to compete against women. Why don't you have anything against it? I have against it because I say like this, whatever you can't just say, I feel like this and therefore I want to do it. So therefore you can be a pedophile. I feel like having sex with children. Can you do anything because you feel like it?
No. Yeah, I know. I agree. And you know who's even Bruce Jenner, who's now Caitlyn Jenner, I guess they call her. Bruce Jenner, and he's now Caitlyn Jenner. He said the same thing. He's like, no, they should never be able to compete.
Yeah, and even
this is the NCAA. This is that who runs college collegiate sports. They gave in. They gave in to the LGBTQ crowd and the woke crowd, and they just, it's such a shame.
This man who pretend to be a woman, I say, is like what, 3 feet taller than the other women.
He's like 6'5".
Yeah, big fucking elbows and arms and swimming like a panther, winning with like 10 yards and celebrates like, well, I won. Would you be embarrassed? I would be fucking embarrassed if I would.
I would think so.
I wouldn't even call him a man or woman. It's a goddamn thing. They need a lot of pills and psychologically help. That's what I say. A lot of people are agreeing with me. A lot of people are saying that, oh, you shouldn't be that harsh. I say, duck it. It's like everything in this society is going the wrong way. It's woke, it's transgender. Now, if you look in your phone, Barry, I kid you not. I was surprised when a friend showed me this. And I asked these Apple people in Malmö here, I was doing a service thing, a battery change on my MacBook Pro. And I said, why do you have pregnant men as emojis on my iPhone?
Oh, you have that? I didn't even notice that.
It's all over in the world. Pregnant fucking men in your iPhone.
I'll look. Well, I don't have an iPhone. I have a Samsung.
Yeah, but it's probably there too. And
I will. I'll look after tonight. I will.
And America, like Trump said at the last rally, like, I want the military and their generals to think about winning wars, not to sew up military clothes for pregnant women in the 8 months of fucking flying jets. What's the problem here?
It's just our society has gone to hell.
And what do your friends say? What do your colleagues at work say? Is this a unison agreement, or do you know a lot of people agreeing with Biden and this woke thing, AOC, or
no,
what?
I think a lot of people are starting to wake up against this woke stuff and see our critical race theory. Can you imagine? I was watching on the news the other night that they're teaching sex ed to grammar school kids, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that it's okay if you're a male, but if you feel like a female, don't be ashamed of yourself. In first grade? In
Sweden, before the first grade, kindergarten stuff, when they're 3, 4, 5 years, for a couple of years now, these, you don't call them teachers, what do you call them? Like the
activists.
Yeah, no, not activists, but I'm talking about the guys and the girls taking care of the kids at kindergartens. They're not teachers, but they are. What are they? Almost.
I don't know, counselors. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you call them. Anyway, in Sweden, they're called sort of preschool, like pre-teachers, whatever.
Yeah.
And in Sweden, in many places, they're teaching children when they're 3, 4 years old. And say, "What's your name?" "I'm Michael." And then what's your name? "I'm Anna." And then they say, "Just so you know, You don't have to be Michael. Michael, you can be Anna if you want.
Yeah.
And they say you don't have to, if you don't like to play football, you can play with dolls. Because if you want to be a girl, it's nothing wrong if you want to be a girl, Michael. And they push that in their fucking heads. And I can't imagine parents knowing about this and not pulling the kids back, smacking these teachers and taking them out. Because I would do that right away.
I would too. If they were teaching my son or daughter that, I would do that in a heartbeat. But a lot of parents, they don't have the choice to take kids out.
No, and then, I mean, like they do, I saw a lot of American parents in Minnesota and other places, and then Biden and his regime, as we say, they call these, FBI call these parents terrorists and Nazis.
Terror watch list they're on, because they're domestic violence or domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
Where the Attorney General, you know, and the Department of Justice and all these people, they were all like, in the FBI, they were all like surveilling all of these parents. And when wiretapping their phones. I mean, come on.
Exactly. And when you hear this, that parents shouldn't be allowed to have anything to say against the school system.
Yeah. They have no say in the education department.
It's terrible, because these kids will come home all messed up.
Well, that's why the governor, that happened in Virginia. When they were running the governor's race in Virginia, the Republican won because the Democratic came out and said on the podium, I don't think parents should have a say in how the children are educated. And it's like, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And the parents woke up to that, and they realized that. And you got parents are getting arrested at these board meetings just because they're speaking out. You know, and then they have this critical race theory where all these elementary school kids, I mean, you're talking elementary school, and they're being taught that they should be ashamed that they're white.
I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I saw now that, what's his name? Gavin Newsom, in
California.
He's not the mayor, he's
a governor.
Governor, yeah. He was complaining about Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, that he's too weak regarding masks and the pandemic and so on. And actually, if you haven't seen this, I might be able to add it here, or we'll do it in the next episode. But what do you call it? Legislation. A new law. Yeah, California is promoting 10 new laws now that they have sent to Biden. And just to bring them up real short, like they want everybody to take, they want to force everybody to take a vaccine twice a year. Otherwise, you can't keep your job. And they want, from 12 years of age, they want children to be able to take the vaccine without asking their parents' permission. And the school can tell the children, if you don't do it, you can't be a part of this and this and this. And the police and fire department and ambulances, if you don't take 2 shots a year against something that is not existing anymore, because the virus is so weak now. That's sort of, in a way, I'm sorry, that's like for me, you know, you use this word Nazi all over the place, but this is like really, really Gestapo stuff, or Pinochet, or whatever you want to call it, because in Florida, they have realized what we have realized in Sweden. Years ago, when people got a flu, let's say that you're in Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
What do you care in this instance if 10 people get the flu in Chicago?
Right.
Why do you need to test everybody? And why do we need to know? And why does the media need to write about who has whatever is in another state? Why is that interesting to you?
It's not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And, you know, it's funny because I've never had a flu shot in my entire life.
Me neither.
And I've never gotten the flu in over 30 years. And now I got the vaccine and I get sick.
How many shots did you take?
I had 3.
Why did you do
2 shots of the Pfizer and then the booster.
But why did you do that? Did you have to because of job, or?
Well, yeah, the job, yeah. And then it was just because of my mom. I got my mom the shot, so.
Oh yeah. So you were thinking Okay, that's the media thing. You were taught, so to say, that you have to protect your mother so you don't.
Yeah, you protect other people more so than yourself.
Yeah.
And I
That's
got sick. I got sick off of the second Pfizer, and I got sick off the booster.
So that's what my Swedish
That sucked.
my Swedish viewers that will see this episode, they will write in the comments. I'll tell you that you have been screwed, and you probably know it, but that's the whole point, that these vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna and whatever, they were made for one spike protein. And we have followed thousands of scientists and doctors over the years on these different YouTube channels. And we know, and now it's coming out. The Delta had 10 or 20 spike proteins. The Omicron has like 40 or 50 spike proteins. So a vaccine that is built for one can't help you for shit. That's why you see in Israel, in Sweden, all over the world, everybody who is sick now, even if they took the shot, is being sick either from the shot, actually, or because there is no protection in this vaccine. And just to finish this sentence, Dr. Tony fucking Scarecrow Fauci, he came out a couple of days ago admitting what we have said all along, that, oh yeah, I was wrong. Natural immunity is just as good as the vaccine. It's better than the vaccine because it has always been better for millions of years, because if I get something, I have had it. Right. Never ever in history have they said to old people, did you take the vaccine for the flu? No, I missed it and I got it, and I got a cough for 2 weeks. And never ever before until this pandemic did the doctor say, oh, you should take this shot after you recovered.
Right.
Why the fuck would you need a shot after you recovered?
For the future.
This is terrible.
So you don't get it. So you don't get it again.
But that's terrible, because that's why they sell this thing.
I know.
You can't get it again if you've already had it. You can't get it. You can get it in the way that you get sort of a little sniffle.
Yeah,
but you can't get the really
mild symptoms. It's not going to kill you.
This whole thing with the pandemic that they call it, and the mandate for travel passports and vaccination passports, and do you know what the PCR test is, how that was made?
No.
The American, I think it was American or English, he died a few years ago. He specifically said that the PCR test, first of all, I think it was made to check for HIV, but it cannot prove that you have a virus that is not in a controlled form. So every time you take a PCR test, if you're positive or negative, it can be a false positive and it can be a false negative. And that's really scary, because people who are traveling are relying on that test. Now they call it an antigen test. It's a different test. So all of this thing it's very, very scary that the CDC is now coming out and saying that, no, we're forbidding the PCR test. They're not reliable. That's what they said now 3 months ago. You have to do an antigen test. And if you read on the antigen test, it says like this: if you get a positive, you can have COVID, but you can also have anything else.
Yeah.
That's what it says on the pack. In the drugstore. It's fucking ridiculous. So let's talk a little bit about the states in America. People have asked me this. So it's 50 states, right?
Yes.
And I know the majority of votes and so on, what they say, but how many states are blue and how many states are red, you know?
No.
I think
it's almost 50-50.
It is, okay. Yeah.
Close.
So, but I read up and saw
it's
that
changing, though. It changes a lot.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more red.
Yes.
Sort of say Republican are taking over more and more states.
And I think there was a poll. There was a recent poll that more and more Hispanics and more African Americans are voting Republican.
Yeah. Okay.
It's up to like it's almost to the point where the Democratic Party might be dead if they're relying on the Black and the Hispanic vote.
So I was thinking, next election here now, it's called the midterms, right?
Yes.
So
that's for the House and the Senate.
Yeah. So don't you think that the Democrat states, sort of the blue states, where they have seen this violence with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, don't you think that a lot of Democrats are tired? Maybe they don't like Trump, but that they don't feel like we can't continue with Biden because everything gets worse and worse, the prices of oil and gas and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's certain states that you'll never change. Certain states that have the cities will never change. Seattle will never become Republican. Minneapolis will never become, Portland, Oregon will never become Republican.
And why is that?
Just, I don't know. I have no idea. They're nuts.
They're nuts.
They're nuts. I mean, these states and these cities that allow these young kids to be tearing down statues, and renaming schools because, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. I mean, come on. Those states will never change. They're just far left-wing, ideology. And forget about it. It's not worth it. You focus on the other cities and other states.
I remember when I met you in '89 when we were in New York, and then when we went down to Miami and we met our friend William, and we went out on his boat and snorkeling and fishing and everything we did. As a Swede at that point, I never thought about if New York was a Democrat state or if Florida. I just knew that it was a free country and everything was fantastic. What happened?
It went to hell. it just times change. You got, I look at it also as a lot of these children that are brainwashed through school and brainwashed through college to think about this left wing ideology, and then they get out like AOC and all that stuff. They get out and they're still young and they get involved in politics or schools or anything like that, even local politics, and they just have that vision of what they were taught in school. And that's how life should be. And that's how their city should run. That's how their education department should run. That's how the country should be run. And that's not how the rest of the country thinks.
That's very dangerous, like AOC, AOC in New York and Omar, the Muslim in Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
And I think, like, don't they realize when they write down a policy, when they work, they should know the results and that it won't work. It hasn't worked in Venezuela, in Cuba, or in any communist country. Why do they want to do something that everybody knows will fail?
I don't think they believe it. I don't think they believe that it will fail. I think they feel that if they transform a little bit by little bit here in America, that America is a strong enough country to survive, like socialism. There
are some very, very important channels in America. Blaze TV.
Yes, with Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck. Is it Jeff Beck? No. Oh, it's David. No, it's Beck anyway.
Yeah, his last name.
Blaze TV. Beck is his last name. And then you have Larry Elder in California.
Yeah.
Black guy who almost, he tried to win over Newsom there. And when you listen to these people, they know about American history, like Dan Bongino and Rudy Giuliani, the mayor, the former mayor of New York, right?
Yeah,
His show is called Giuliani's Common Sense. When you listen to these people, you understand that something is very, very wrong, and they actually want to save America. I can understand why Trump's whole theme now is called Save America. And if I remember correctly, Trump has his new rally already on Saturday.
I didn't hear that. Where?
2nd of April. Well, I haven't really found out where, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. I'll see here if I can.
He's going to be very active this spring and summer.
Oh, he has to.
He has to be, because he's really going to come out for the midterms, because he wants the Republicans back in control.
Pull it up as we speak. Let's see if I can. Events it should be on, right? Save America rally in Washington Township, MI. Is that Michigan?
Michigan. And that's this Saturday?
Barry.
Yeah.
What happened here? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Oh shit. I'm sorry. I took the sound off. You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I took the sound out. Is okay. It's something weird here. Well, I am MI, is that Michigan?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the Save America rally in Washington Township, Michigan, April 2nd. That's on Saturday.
Yeah, okay, cool.
7 p.m. So that's 1 a.m. on the 3rd here. I will watch that. And then it's a Save America rally in Selma, North Carolina on the 9th. How far is that from you?
Salem?
Selma.
Selma, I don't know.
You should look that up.
I
Selma,
will.
it's April 9th. That's close to you. So anyway, I wanted to tell everybody that Barry and I just talked about this channel a few weeks ago, and we're going to grow this channel and build this channel into a mix of what we say, stories about our lives, history, future, politics, music, movie, everything that we find interesting for us, so to say. And then we rely on you, of course, who are watching us, to share, subscribe, and also let us know in the comment section what you want us to talk about and what you're interested in. Because the first episodes here, we'll just babble about what we like to talk about.
Just like we're sitting at a bar talking about stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We sit in a bar talking about things, and you're listening.
Yeah, and you're basically, you're forced to listen to us. Oh, and I remember the last episode when you were talking about a nightclub when you came in through the Howland Tunnel.
Yeah.
I think that was called 1018.
Possibly. I don't remember.
Okay, because I remember that because it was bugging me the last episode.
Yeah.
And I remember it had 18 in it somewhere, and I think it was called 1018 because it was on 10th Street or 10th Avenue and 18th Street.
Yeah, possibly. I just remember that my cousin Andrew said that I have this friend William. I know him from we were modeling on Palladium nightclub, and he has a place in Miami, and he has a friend who's called Barry. We're going to meet them tonight, and I just flew in from Stockholm. We met that night, and
I met Anders and Will and myself. Used to go out all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to tell people about Manhattan. When I've been to Manhattan, well, where did you go? Well, we went to the Empire State Building. But I mean, I remember when
we went to the underground.
Oh my God! And when we hang out with William up in 3rd Avenue and 95th Street, I think he lived on, right, or 93rd. But there was a club up there, the Surf Club.
Surf Club. I used to go there after work all the time.
Yeah, and it was the Tom's Cafe, and we went bar hopping all over the place there. And I remember MK's and Nels and Palladium, and oh my God, it saved the robots.
CBGBs.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of interesting in Manhattan when you at that point in the 80s and 90s, because there were music scenes all over the place.
Yeah. I saw, who did I see at CBGBs as well? Hall & Oates, remember them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't even know they were playing there. I just went to meet some people, and next thing you know, they're out there. They come up in the scene. I'm like, hey, I know them.
That's very interesting. In New Jersey, I went to, if you remember, when we lived in Berkeley Heights there, we went to the next town, Gillette, and we went into a bar, and there was a stage there, and the bartender said, you have to be quiet now, a band is going to rehearse tonight. And oh yeah, very cool. I was sitting there with Anderson, some friends, Paul, I think his name was, some other guys. And then it all turns dark, and we're sitting having chicken wings and a beer, and Bruce Springsteen comes out with the whole fucking E Street band playing for an hour and a half, and we were like, okay, thank you very much. I wasn't a super Bruce Springsteen fan, but every time when that happens, it's very, very cool when you're that close up.
Were you with me in South Beach when we went to Prince's club?
Oh yeah. To Glam Slam.
Yeah, to Slam. And then all of a sudden we weren't anticipating it, and then we said, oh, we have a special appearance. Hopefully you guys know him. The next thing, all of a sudden, Prince comes out and starts jamming away.
Absolutely fantastic. And
we were just like, get the hell out of here.
All of my Swedish viewers are already, you have to talk about Prince all the time. And now I'm actually sitting here in his studio. That's very cool that you brought that up. Do you remember there was a restaurant called was it called the Grand or what was it called? Strand.
Strand, yeah.
On 5th Street in Washington.
Yep.
And I came there with Anders, my cousin, at one point, and Prince was there. And he says, oh, my friend is there. Who is that? And it was, what's her name? Grace Jones.
Oh, okay, sure.
I think that you were there too, because the interesting thing was that it was packed, so we couldn't get in. So Anders,
It was always packed. It was that place is where all the movie stars hung out.
yeah.
They had dinner.
So my cousin said, Tim, do you want to have dinner with Prince and Grace Jones? Yeah, you're right. I know Grace Jones. Yeah, right. That's it, And then he knocks on the door and she turns around and it's like, Anders, darling. And she took us in there and it was a fantastic night. And then we went up to the loft.
Yep.
And the loft was the only place at South Beach that had Ramla, the Swedish bubble water.
Mm-hmm.
And Prince was drinking that and dancing. And so many things happened at South Beach. And a lot of some of my viewers have asked me in emails that, can't you tell some stories, you and Barry, when you did things in Key West and Miami? So we'll come to that later on.
Yeah,
That's an interesting part, just telling a live story. And so that's like sort of a live audiobook about your life,
Right. And what were those cigarettes that we brought in? Blend?
Yeah, when we worked with Falcon Beer, we also worked with Blend and John Silver and the Danish Prince.
Prince, that's right.
That's
when we took a trip back then is when we went to Key Largo and went snorkeling.
Yeah,
with those girls.
Exactly. But there is a very interesting story that we can take for the next episode when we had a meeting at the Sheraton next to Fontainebleau Hilton with the Danish president for House of Prince for the cigarettes. That was a fantastic evening. There was a menu of like 20 dishes. And he ordered all 20 because he wanted us to taste. I mean, that's another night. Okay. Yeah. So thanks for today, guys, and Barry, and we'll continue in a couple of days. We just wanted to babble here, episode 2, freebase, as I say.
So and, you took one of the segments. Which one did you? Was it the Supreme Court Justice one?
No, what I showed was the Trump hole-in-one.
Oh yeah.
And when the news channel talked about it. And then when they asked the black woman about if she could describe what a woman was,
right, because I have a lot in the pipeline.
Yeah. No, we'll be more focused later on. This was just to. I thought even if we just sit and babble and talk like this, I think it was important for us to let our viewers know that we missed our episode yesterday, and we're going to be more focused and do more serious shows. But sometimes people like when you're serious and when you just talk about different things. So yeah. So let's keep it going. It's Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, I hired an interior decorator for my studio.
Yeah, again the flower. Yeah,
the plant.
Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis right now. I'm in Shanghai.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically pouring. So anyway, so when do you think we can do episode 3 then, Barry?
Whenever you want.
Okay, we'll try to do something this weekend then.
Maybe over the weekend, yeah. Maybe like Saturday.
So Social News Network TV with Tim and Barry will continue. And absolutely. I say, as I always do, peace, love, and understanding. And Barry, what do you say?
Peace out, everyone.
Ciao. See you later.
Bye.